Everybody, we'd like to welcome everyone to our CBC webinar series. My name is Scott Pruitt. I'm Vice President of Commercial Building Consultants. And today's webinar is very special as we will be talking about CBC and our expansion into thermography. Our speakers today are CBC's founder and president, Greg Trotter, and the founder of the Kentucky Thermal Institute, John Harnage. Before we dive into today's webinar, I wanted to let everybody know that this is going to be recorded. This allows us to provide you with the opportunity to revisit the information discussed and share it with those who could not attend live. Your participation and engagement is very important to us, and we would like to ensure that everyone feels comfortable. If you have any concerns about the recording, please feel free to reach out to us directly. Also, you can visit us on our website at thecbcteam.com, where you can read all of our privacy policies, find out more about us, and the services that we offer. Now, please welcome our special guests, Greg Trotter and John Harnage.
Good morning, team.
Good morning.
There he is. So between John and myself, we've done thousands and thousands of properties since my career in doing building diagnostics started in the, we're going to go with the 70s, and went from there when I was a young lad, and then I got really into it in '86. And you know, when you first started out, all we had, John, right, was 5 senses and a screwdriver, and we didn't even use cameras then. That was crazy for the most part. But our passion is trying to diagnose what's going on with a building and get the right answers and the truth to our clients and get them evaluation of. We don't care about cosmetics, but we really care about the systems of the building, whether it's structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, parking, site drainage. It's kind of been our passion for our entire life. And here we are still standing and alive doing it. I met John in August of 2021. All of a sudden in the periodicals and in the commercial real estate magazines, there must have been an article about doing thermal scanning. And so I was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and all of a sudden we started getting calls from clients saying, oh, before we do that underwriting, we need thermal scanning, thermography scanning of the exterior of the buildings. And I'm literally on the job. I'm literally doing the job. And all of a sudden they press the button and say, I have to magically come up with a team to do this. Well, sure enough, thanks to we have a pretty good staff here, like an excellent staff, and somehow they came up with a local group that's going to take Airstream, and they were there with their vans and their ladders and so forth, and like 4 or 5 vans, and one of the guys that fell out of the van was John Harnage. I'd like to introduce you to him. He started the Kentucky Thermal. I can do this. Kentucky Thermal Institute in 2007, and the skills we had before that again was just our senses, 5 senses. You know, listening, smelling, hearing, touching. Olfactory is really a good thing to tell us if there's a problem. We have really good trained eyes on level, plumbing level. That tells us a lot. Looking for cracks. And we're passionate people, but that's the day that when John fell out of the van with his flare team, and wow, what was the difference that it has made to my life since. And the frustration before is that we knew that there would be something going on, or we could sort of tell that there was a situation, but we really couldn't identify it. I'll give you 2 examples, and then it's on to John, but how about my own house? You don't know this, John, but a couple of weeks ago, my family was in the downstairs bedroom, and I was walking down the stairs, and I smelled a problem. I smelled maybe a burning problem. So what do I have? I have my thermography camera, and I shoot into the living room at a ceiling fan, and I shoot into the bedroom, a ceiling fan, 40-degree difference in the motor temperature. So it was a potential fire.
Yep.
Us people in Florida, we leave our fans on all summer, whether we're there or not. That's crazy. And that is a big potential for fire. Second was 2 weeks earlier, and I had water stains in my living room, in my dining room. And I'm going, oh no, I'm gonna have to take out the dining room, open up, the ceiling, open up and stick my head up there and see what's going on. And this would be a very invasive issue to discover, right? John made sure that I didn't go anywhere without my FLIR camera. Now, listen to this. So I have to put a big hole in the living room to figure out what's going on, except I have a thermal camera. And so I said, hold on. And I ran upstairs and brought it down, and I started shooting this. And what happens is, this is my camera, and it said to me, Greg, you don't have to open up the ceiling to your dining room. The problem is over in the laundry room upstairs. And it saved me such damage and invasive efforts and having to redo the downstairs ceiling. And so that's just my house. But it's a lot more than that.
Yep.
And John, your institute's been around for a long time and been around the country. And why don't you just kind of tell us about more? But I'll tell you what, when you impact me in what I do for my profession that much, that the answers are here and what's going on, you take it from there. And I'm quite an enthusiastic endorser of this is my sixth sense. This is my sixth sense.
It is sixth sense. There's no doubt.
Run with that, because as you can tell, it's been a lot of answers to my questions the last few years, since 2001.
No, absolutely. And again, I come from a background of inspections as well. 6,000 plus home inspections, commercial, industrial. I just quit counting. On the electrical scans, moisture intrusion scans, you can't track those as easy as everything else. So thousands and thousands of them. And back in the day when I started in the home inspection business, we didn't even have cameras. No one used cameras. We came out of the gate. Our little town had 30 something home inspectors. I saw a path to professionalism where they were not doing it clean cut. They were, just shingle on a shoulder, and I'm a home inspector. So we developed a very methodical inspection method and reporting method, and started using pictures. And I can remember back in the day, man, we're at a national convention, and there's 60 home inspectors, well-seasoned guys there. And there's about 4 of us that are actually adding photos to our inspection reports. And we were like well, you don't want to do that. No one else does that. That's exactly why I want to do that, because you're not. And it's a differentiation. So as everybody began to really pile in, and you won't find a home inspection now or a commercial inspection or an industrial inspection without photos. It's just, if you do, you've got the wrong person that's working with you. So we began to add thermal imaging to our inspections, because we realized the HVAC systems, you could judge the lack of the condition of a blower motor by how high it's blowing on a wall. The ceiling fans were something we noticed early on back in the day. Electrical systems, energy loss. We have found complete bedrooms that they just didn't insulate outside walls because they were late. Who knows? It's construction. There's things that we find, Greg, I quit trying to explain why, and I just identify. If I try to kill myself with an explanation, it's like, okay, is it the chicken or the egg? It's a discussion we'll always have. So we started adding thermal imaging to our inspections, and we became that outcast again. And I really fought a hard battle, and I found it was lack of training. These guys, home inspectors, just didn't understand. Same way you were before we met. You've seen a picture or two, but I'm not going to use that because I don't know. I've never had to have it. So the argument used to be, you're seeing things that aren't visual, because we're supposed to do visual inspections. And my biggest takeaway of an argument at that would always put these people in a room, and they'd always come to me, man, you're doing invasive inspections with that thing. No, invasive is me poking a hole in something. So what I would lean towards, Greg, is this is a great tool There is no way, and you said it, one of the tools you have to have as an inspector is a flashlight. And I would tell my people, okay, so you're going into a crawl space. You're going into an attic. What tool do you take with you? Well, a flashlight. And what do? You have to turn it on, or you can't do your inspection. How do you inspect without that light? Well, it's a flashlight. I'm like, I can't inspect without a thermal camera, and all I'm seeing basically is light, the difference in the heat patterns. So yeah, they'd always look at me crooked, but now, if your home inspector doesn't have a thermal camera, you got the wrong home inspector now. And we're starting to see that in your world too, in the commercial vicinity. The electrical scans is something that's really taken the forefront. To the moisture intrusion, which I absolutely love being a part of moisture intrusion. I had so much fun traveling the country with you, looking at what I've always called vertical mulch, the wood siding on the outside of these buildings. It's a sponge. It's just gonna love moisture. So we've been involved in the Institute, our involvement with just the industry, as a distributor, as an educator, as a trainer. I've met people like yourself, Greg, so many times over the years. And I would have to say we've probably got thousands of cameras in the hands across this country. And I get calls every day. Hey, look what I found. And it's still a thrill. I've seen and we'll share some thermal images to help show you the thrill. But we've done this so many times over the years. The Institute was born specifically on a napkin because I personally realized, man, I'm out here telling this to so many people. Johnny Appleseed telling so many people. There's going to come a point where people are going to want to learn how to fish. And I want to be able to sell them their boat, their dock. I want to be that person that teaches them how to fish. So that's where the Institute had been open now for 7 solid years, and we're really excited. This year we've got our first ever level 1 electrical thermographer course, and it's going to be from a perspective of practicality. Yeah, you're going to learn the science and the theory, but when you leave this class, you'll be able to take that thermal camera and go start making a living doing electrical scans. It's not like I got to figure it out. We'll be there for support afterwards for that learning curve, because your learning curve was pretty quick but pretty amazing. When I'll never forget that first spot in Nashville where you started looking over my shoulder. I think we showed up with 3 cameras and 5 guys that day. We were there to really tear that place apart. And once we got everybody going and you and I started talking, we realized we had a great connection, man. We're, brother from another mother, as they say, and it has been great. And now that your team is getting involved in thermal imaging, it brings an excitement to the table that honestly just never goes away with thermal. Home inspections and commercial inspections, it's always something brand new every time. That's why they're fun. Guys like you and I love that. Thermal is going to be the same way, but in the same aspect, you're saving lives by not that fire you found in your house. Holy cow, what catastrophic damage would that have been? And that investment in that tool, as long as you've had it, that knowledge that you've gained, in less than a month, you saved yourself enough to pay for that camera quadruple, thousands and thousands of times. God forbid you had a house fire. You can't get that back.
Right. One thing I want to bring up, John, early in our conversation is that we had a problem right next door in a mall, and we needed to evaluate. It's a distress situation, and we need to evaluate the roof to say to what areas where there was trapped moisture versus other areas, and they didn't want a whole new roof. Well, my buddy John shows up, and he shows up on a Saturday night, and he does a thermographic review of the particular area that we're concerned with about fixing that area of the roof. And John comes up with his drone, has thermography, and he was able to decipher from whatever height you were at, and you gave us a plan so that we knew where there would be trapped moisture in, say, the insulation of the roof. And what that does is it changes the unknowns. Thermography changes the unknowns to the known, meaning that John was able to when we walked the roof the next day or so, he was able to paint on the roof. This is trapped moisture here. Here's trapped moisture there. And over the course of just doing one job, let alone hundreds of buildings, where we can take the scope of a roofing issue and take it from this to no, precisely this. This is where you need to remove and replace wet moisture. And when you reduce the scope and the unknown to the known, that helps the customer, that helps you and I when we're doing the roof, and substantially gives you a better cost estimate of the actual cost versus putting a hypothetical allowance that we may need. And that was a great example of using this technology that we're talking about today it's building sciences. It's diagnostic equipment. And you took a Saturday night out of your life and did this for me on a roof. And that doesn't sound dramatic, except for when it's talking about millions of dollars on a roof. Tell us about that. And do you have that overview?
I do.
How high were you up? How high were you, John?
How high was I that night? Well, man, I was sober as a stick. Let's just say that. So, let's pull up this. This is a typical. Get some stuff out of the way.
It's an ugly roof. Let's be sure that you know that, everyone. And we really needed to be precise about limiting the cost and the roofing that we were going to have to do on this. So here's John. What did he have?
So, this is what your typical roofer sees. This is what Greg was looking at. I mean, honestly, it doesn't look that bad from that image. You've got some patchwork and some other things going on. But when we go up, and there's a technique behind this, and there's a training behind this to be able to know when to do this, how to do it, and those types of things. So, you take this type of image and then, you flip it into thermal.
Can you give that one of those images and just put that as one sheet? One of your
is it?
Thermal.
Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, but I have like 6 or 7 images. I want everyone to be able to see your masterwork. You've got. I want to see the centerfold. I want to see I don't. There's a lot in here, so let's just show them one picture and explain what what thermology is as far as looking at one of your scans.
Let me pull it back up.
Where'd you go?
I'm right here. I'm
Okay.
getting.
So yeah.
Now you should have it.
Okay, look at that picture. And tell us, John, what is it telling you that you and I can't see?
Yeah, so basically there's, the visual image. Now can you see the visual?
Yeah, so there you go. There's Greg with my silly camera taking a picture.
Right? There's what Google Earth sees. There's what everybody sees. That's what roofer sees. And this roofer in particular is a very strong roofing company. And we're forming a relationship with him as well. So this is what it looks like. Doesn't look that bad. Like I said a minute ago, you got some stuff. I don't know. Doesn't look that bad. Well, then you flip the image on to thermal. And what you find here is and again, there's training that goes along with this. So we did this at sunset. As the sun goes down, these areas here that are bright, they are areas of trapped moisture. So the moisture gets stuck in this insulation. And during the day, the whole surface is heated up. And when the sun goes down, the air cools quicker inside of the dry insulation, all of these areas here. Right. So what happens is the energy from the sun is retained in this moisture. And that's how when that sun goes down, everything cools off. There's even, I mean, this entire area here is just a hot mess. So we would be able to literally tell someone, think about this, just in this little section, why would you replace all of this insulation at a cost per 4x8 sheet when, to Greg's point, we went in and painted these areas and we were able to identify these areas. And now you know, on this roof, I mean, let's throw a number. That's 95% dry, 90% dry. So now we've just reduced the client's cost from 100% of the insulation, which means we had to manufacture it, we had to ship it there, we had to get it on the roof, we had to remove 100%, take 100% to the dump, cover it up with dirt, and in that process of the world trying to go green, here we are able to keep 90% of that insulation on the roof and reduce a carbon footprint 90% of the replacement of the insulation cost. That sounds great, but they're after money. So when we do these types of scans, we can easily identify areas. There's, you know, dry. Look at this entire roof section. It looks great. There was no, they had 100% replacement budgeted for this insulation. You've got cold water here from the air conditioning units. It's puddled, but look at this roof system. Dry as a bone. There is no need to replace any of this insulation. Just the cap sheet. Thousands upon thousands of dollars, again, saved for this in this particular roof section. But we all know roof. You know, there's a high view of it. This was the section here we were hired to look at, and you can see why. Look at the moisture, trap moisture along this seam. Had a seam split here where it was starting to bleed out into this area. But look at this entire section. Dry as a bone.
Right.
This section over here, horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Hey, come on. Don't be talking to mom about my roof like that. That's not fair. But
horrible.
Now let me take it a little bit further.
Yeah.
Is that when I'm charged with a job like this, and there's a lender involved, you know, there's a purchase involved or whatever, the lender wants to know that the roof is tight, and they actually want to have from the roofer a warranty guarantee, because that way that deflects the lender from seeing a huge bill come from the owner of the property for sometimes millions and millions of dollars. It says, so no, actually, we as a company, not just the roofing company, but the manufacturer of the system that we put onto this to restore this roof, they in other words, a Fortune 500 company will stand up to yes, we will warranty this roof after we're done rehabbing it. Well, in this case, it takes a $14 million job to a $1.4 million job. We did one on a huge mall down in South Florida, and this sort of technology now, we can feel comfortable that we took out the bad spots and we knew where the parameters of where that trapped moisture was, and everybody can feel comfortable, including the guy that's writing the warranty, that yes, we're good with that now, and say we're good. So it doesn't sound like a big thing, except for when you're trying to run and operate a piece of real estate. You need to be practical, smart, and know if there's problems and what the extent of it is. And so this extra tool, it's not a flashlight, it's not a screwdriver, it's not a hammer, no. It's this camera, and it's very exciting for the investors, for the operator of the property, for the property managers, and so forth. So I wanted to use that as an example and made us all heroes. But you have a little more of a story on the electrical side. Let's go and hear from that.
Let's see if we can pull that one up.
So remember, we have in a building, in a commercial building, we have the main electrical room, the main panels, the shunt trip, and it has all this that goes out to a myriad of sub-panels in, say, a 1 million square foot building. And John goes through and he checks every panel. What have you found?
I am pulling it up. I accidentally closed out that folder.
That's all right.
1 second. Because, yeah, we've got lots of fun pictures. We could spend weeks doing this stuff.
A lot of my insurance adjustment claim investigation has been from fires in commercial buildings, and what has been the cause of the fire, origin and cause of the fire. I have to identify that. And guess what it's been? Electrical. 100% electrical.
There we go. Oh, you know what? It's going to do the same thing to me. So I will
blow that thing up.
And it's probably not, it's not sharing now. You're just seeing the folder. So I need to go back in. It keeps popping out of the share.
Okay.
Give me 1 sec.
So before thermal cameras, you know what we use, ladies and gentlemen? Our hands.
Yeah.
We would check all the breakers. Well, that's a hot one. But that doesn't tell you the differential. That doesn't show you what's happening behind that dead panel when you take the panel off. And that's dangerous when you get inside a panel. You can electrocute yourself pretty easily. That's one of the risks of me doing my job. But watch this.
Yeah,
what do you got, John?
This is a recent, you can see the electrical panel up now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so recent find, 20 amp breaker in an industrial setting. It's hot, obviously. Put a clamp on it. It's pulling 19 amps on a 20 amp breaker. That's something you need to know about because that's a fire hazard. I'm surprised that breaker, it's designed to trip before we hit this scenario. We find this over and over and over. So NFPA 70B was updated last year. National Fire Protection Association code was updated to mandate these scans. They've always been recommended, so now it's a mandate. And this is why. They know when they go in and it's an electrical fire. Well, we could have identified this fire months, weeks, days, or hours. You know, this is a potential fire about to happen. This was on a residential inspection. That's not if it's going to catch on fire. It's about to. And again, to my inspector guys out there, you know, again, I'm a home inspector. I've cut my teeth there and moved forward like most home inspectors move into commercial, end up in industrial. That's just that progressive nature of our career. So when I show them this and I'm like, I found this on a home inspection. Did your flashlight catch that? Well, you know, no, this isn't invasive. This is life-saving. So again, people go way past this stuff. I'm going to burn through these real quick because there's a lot of people on here probably never heard of thermal, never even maybe seeing thermal for the first time. And as we begin to share this, we're going to find someone in the crowd will always contact me and be like, yeah, but you know, you should have told it like this. Hey, it's an interpretation. I'm going to give you my version of it. This was in a factory setting, just a ventilation motor. This motor was 30 degrees over manufacturer's recommendation that it's supposed to automatically shut off at like 240 degrees. It was 30 degrees above that manufacturer's rating and still going. Now, if you look above it, it was even drawing, and we got to this because you can see it's drawing heat at the outlet. You can see the conduit is hot. The conduit was hot coming off of the panel, and that's how we tracked it here because the breaker was hot, the conduit was hot. Of course it is. The motor's about to catch on fire. You don't see that in a commercial setting. Most elevators are now hydraulic. They don't run on these types of motors anymore, but we still find in some elevator shafts we locate these types of things. That's an EV battery plant. I'll spin through these. Bearing failure is something that's very, very high on a list. Again, I know that's not where we are, but walking through a facility, you can see bearing on the right and a bearing on the left. And it's an alignment issue. This goes out, their entire facility shuts down, and they're without manufacturing capabilities for days. So let me burn through a few of these to get to some good electricals. Oh, here's a good one. This is One of my favorite images. And I'm gonna let you Greg, what you know about thermal, you haven't been through our block wall class, but this is building science. The dark areas, just like a roof, this is a block building that was supposed to be 100% grout filled. The areas that are white are hotter than the darker areas here. So the sun has gone down, just like the roof. The heavy mass of the mortar in these areas here has maintained the heat from the day of the solar loading. So we were able to come in and do a confirmation. It wasn't 100% filled. So we lose R value. We lose structural integrity. The list goes on and on and on and on. This is one of the simplest construction confirmation methods for block walls that nobody does. It blows my mind when I pull up on a job site at a Walmart where they're building a Walmart. I'm like, who's doing your thermal scan for confirmation on block wall grouting? And they go, what is that? And quick education later, and we've picked up a project, or at least the lead on another project. So, you got the electrical, you've seen the roofs. That's a utility company. It won't get us too far there. Here's a good one. I got 3 or 4 more of these we'll run through. This could be in any facility, hotels. You'll see this type of electrical system. What we're seeing here, an overheated breaker. Why is this breaker showing so much heat? Well, if you follow the conduit, you can actually see the wire on the conduit. So the heat from the wire, look where it comes, wraps the corner and lays on that elbow, comes up, hits the top of the conduit before it comes back down and over here where it goes out to the street. So there's a transformer issue on the street side from the utility company that is producing this. This is why NFPA 70B is now going, get your systems scanned. Kentucky just took it a step further, and in January 1st, 2025, this is so exciting. Now the insurance companies are going to start to ask and make this happen. In Kentucky, they are adopting NFPA standards from 2023 updates. So now we're bringing in the 70B standard that mandates electrical scans that's enforceable by OSHA. But now if your fire marshal comes into this situation and it's an electrical fire and they say, hey, it's current code for you to have an electrical thermal scan. Can I see yours? Because they want to start pointing the finger. Well, now these things will be fixed. But think of all the commercial buildings, all the not residential projects, but all the commercial buildings that are going to be out of electrical code in 2025. So it's starting here in Kentucky. I'm sorry I've been such a loud dog and barking about this for so long, but people have listened. What state's next? What states are doing the same thing? That's where we're on the path to find out. So it's not if this is coming, Greg. It's here. The insurance companies, what you're going to see on due diligence inspections is you're going to start to see this is required. This is in a basement of a office building. You think there's something wrong in the electrical system here? What's your take? I got to plug in while you cover that one.
Okay. I was in an industrial building last week in Virginia, in the country side of Virginia, and it was filled with lumber. They were prefabbing equipment, homes and that sort of thing. There was no fire suppression. There was no fire alarm. There was plenty of panels. And what happens when you cut wood is there's a very good possibility there could be a fire in this building. There was no fire pond to get water. There was no smoke detectors. I mean, this is a classic place of where you could have a problem like a fire and no way even to put it out. But if we can be ahead of the curve, like with your thermography system, and identify where we're going to have a potential fire. The calamities we can avoid in people's lives and build people's businesses is amazing, and no one is ever talking about it.
No. And this is what you see. You on your normal commercial building inspection in the basement. Here's the electrical room. This is what everybody sees. And you can't argue with me that I see this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's not supervision. It's just knowledge. I don't need a flashlight. So again, it's a brand new system. Absolutely brand new. We could go on and on and on for years. Boy, there's a visual inspection that doesn't need a thermal image.
Right.
That's out of a sawmill you were just talking about. I mean,
but the problem with that one there is that means that there's particles in the air. Yeah. And so if we have a spark, just a spark in the manufacturing environment, guess what happens? Boom. Oh, yeah. So that when you see this particular one, I love that photo. But so there's diagnostics other than what the human body can actually perform that really makes the guessing no longer guessing.
Yeah, there's a whole opportunity that we're on the verge of tapping into. I'm a freak. I stop and take pictures of hotels when I travel. Still amazing to me that a new construction on this type of hotel, that you can look at the pattern. From what I've learned over the years, inconsistent patterns here. There's a lot going on in this system. Luckily, there's not any major water, but you've got some possible moisture intrusion in this area that's just going to grow mold, on an eave system similar to this. But again, it's just so simple to do confirmations. This is where they put all the adhesive before they put all that on there. I could go through hours of this stuff, man. I mean, and now that we've talked about it enough, as I flip through them, even the people that have never seen thermal, they can quickly start to identify what's going on in these systems, man. Very, very well so. New construction home. How about that for energy loss? Oh my gosh.
Insulation's optional.
It is these days.
Hold on, that looks like my bedroom. That's my bed.
Unbelievable, man. And again, every time I find these pictures, this is my most dynamic image I think one of them I've ever taken. I might submit this year. 3 degrees outside. This is when I used to drive down the road and find problems to pay for my camera and help. I had a camera payment my wife didn't agree with, $15,000 camera when I started this business, when she needed a car, was a bad expense on my side to begin with. Hindsight, it was life-changing for my whole family. But this particular image, so much air leakage from the ductwork under the home. This goes in commercial buildings a lot of times when they have those systems, ductwork systems between the floors. You see the same thing. 3 degrees outside. No snow, no ice on his patio. And I was able to show him, that's because you've got a heated patio, sir. Look at the ring of fire. When they built the home, they added these doors, weren't originally supposed to be there, and they built these steps over crawl space vents. So they never closed the crawl space vent from the inside. So it's just filling up all and hot air, man, it's going to travel. So again, unbelievable heat loss in this guy's home. One of my absolute favorites. Electrical, ready to. It's an overloaded breaker. It's a breaker that has been overloaded so long it's at fail point. Is it a fire? Let's hope not. Inside of a facility, there's a water leak. When we do our electrical scans, we always look up. This is a good image. You can see here the heated insulation and wet insulation as well, and a large area of moisture here. This was a roof leak dripping on an electrical cabinet. Nice. That every time it blew, it took about $30,000 to repair. I think I've been through plenty of these now.
Yeah. So commercial building consultants after, like, we met in 2001. Is that right? No, 221.
221.
And August of 2021, and now we're all in 100% because we do water intrusion studies. We do this and that, and we work on hundreds and hundreds of buildings every year. And fortunately, ran into John, and we are going to work together in all aspects as far as training and helping people in Orlando, Florida. We're centrally located in this state, which has got a lot of things going on: flooding, water, rain, humidity, all sorts of things. And we have buildings that have been leaked since the day that they were built, and eventually they come around to calling us. And this is one of the reasons why I'm excited to go all in, is to have this tool in our box so that we can do an even better job than we always did to do diagnostics and help people and managers and owners of what the heck is going on in our building. And so we're honored to be part of your team, and can't wait to have you here more and more often as you move yourself south from Kentucky. But I appreciate it. If you need any more information, how are we going to get a hold of you for camera and some of your courses?
Yeah, no, absolutely. kythermal.institute. Very simple. Just type in KY Thermal, and I promise you'll get to us. KY Thermal, Kentucky Thermal. You can't miss us when you search it that simple. Been around too long. Been doing it way too many years. My cell phone number is 270-282-3194. 270-282-3194. Again, we have no boundaries. We've helped people even in Canada learn how to do equine scans several times. So it's coming. I'm looking forward to working with your team. You got an energetic team. I love your reports. I love what services you guys provide. And just, to me, it's again, it's like turning on a flashlight back in the day. My first flashlight, I'm gonna date myself, was the old Radio Shack flashlight with all the D cells. It was gray and red. I can never forget that Radio Shack flashlight. And those things were impossible to carry around. It took like 5D batteries to get a good beam of light. And things have changed. So technology's here. The NFPA's buying into it. Insurance companies are now going to be, you watch, Greg, they're going to be requiring moisture intrusion scans. Blows my mind in Florida, if someone buys a building, unbelievable, the insurance company would put full insurance on the roof I just showed you. They're starting to want to require some of these scans in some of these large investments. I don't blame them. It's a $30 million roof insured, and if they can prove that, $8 million of it needs to be fixed before they insure it, then yes, so be it. So looking forward to seeing what the CBC team does. Can't wait to be a part of it. Going to be, we have been, and going to get even more in depth now.
Very good. And you can reach us here at the CBCteam.com, and we're married at the hip, and we're going to go and solve some more building problems. And that's what you and I live for. That's what we and let's go and continue on doing great work. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, no, listen, CBC Thermal is going to be, it's going to be part of the future of inspections. Again, I'm so glad to see that you're understanding and you're getting in front of this curve. You're going to be a pioneer and an absolute leader. The CBC Thermal name is going to be widely known. Blink of an eye. Okay,
one more thing. When you speak about your early November class, just to get everybody ready and meeting there.
We had a pre-registration. 25 is going to be our classroom limit. We had a pre-registration of 14 and I had 2 sign up yesterday. Filling up quick. Level 1 electrical thermography course. You'll be able to come and listen to myself and another expert, Jeff Ryerson. He does all of Florida Power and Light substation thermal imaging. So you're going to learn what the generation of power looks like and what the faults are all through the substation, all the way to the manufacturing facility or the schools or wherever it's connected to. you're going to understand what the breakers, the bearings, the motors of all these things that I just showed you. You'll be able to understand from a practical approach after this course how to walk away and go out and go, that's an electrical fault. This is why it's an electrical fault. And I can explain to you what that fault is. We're not going to teach you how to fix it because that's an electrician. That's a different thing. So this is being taught from my point of view as an inspector to other inspectors. You know, you want to inspect electrical and you want to know what you're looking at. Yeah, you come get in on this class.
Okay. And what's the dates on that, John? What dates?
November 5th through 7th.
Yeah.
You will be given a free tuition to the Western Kentucky University Introduction to the Science and Thermology course. So you'll be able to get a university credential right out of the gate. How's that for a resume? You know, you've got, so again, November 5th through 7th, it's in Lexington, Kentucky. It's actually going to be hosted, this is really cool, at East Kentucky Power Co-op. They're going to allow us to go out and do solar field inspections. They're going to allow us to do an on-site substation inspection as well. So we're going to get up out of the seats after we learn. We're going to go do exactly what you're being taught to do as well. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I know you can tell.
Okay. Okay. Well, there you go. If you need any help
John.
from myself, go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, thanks, John, for all the information and everything. And I'm going to throw something out there to you because your Kentucky Thermal Institute has been so popular and has been doing so well. And as far as I know, I don't think we have anything similar to that down here. No. But if we had a lot of people or enough people who was interested in having a class here, maybe we could get you down here to do a class for us.
Oh man, listen, we've got a building science class that I personally teach, and I can assure you after 3.5 days of that, that would be the course I would love to partner with you guys on down there. Building science, we do energy loss, moisture intrusion, roofs, grout confirmation, CMU wall confirmations. We throw electrical in there. It literally teaches commercial inspectors how to do everything top to bottom. And it is, we could stretch it for a 4th day and do some field trips. But the building science. We can
find some places for you to look at.
Yeah, I bet you
I think I can, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So far.
Summer up.
We'll see if we can maybe work on getting that together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks, John.
Taught that course numerous times.
And thanks for everyone listening and putting up with us for all this time about thermography, and it's pretty important and going to be in the future. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Great day.